G'day, Steve Morgan here. Australian Bass Tournaments on the banks of the Richmond River in Corrocky, New South Wales, with the winner of the atomic round of the 13Fishing Bass Pro Series, Mick Johnson. We have done this before. What was the event you won earlier in the year?
I believe it was Blue Rock.
Blue Rock was you. Wasn't it Glen Maggie?
Was Glen Maggie?
You didn't even know what event you were
It was
winning.
Glen Maggie.
At Glen Maggie, you shot out to an early lead. You had 3 kilos on day one, and it got slower for you on day two. We were watching the scoreboards on the live scoreboard on the ABT website there, and man, it slowed up for you this morning, didn't it? You had 8 kilos plus on day one, and then by about 10:30 in the morning, you had one fish.
Yeah, it certainly it got tough. Got a couple of fish in the morning, and then my pattern, it was still working somewhat, but the fish just weren't eating top water like they should have been, or like they had been for the last couple of days prior to that.
Well, let's backtrack. Tell us about the practice and the first day of the tournament. What did you do to put that massive limit together?
So I've got to give a bit of a shout out to Anthony Melchior, because he give me the good oil on throwing small plastics up into the back of them drains.
Yep.
and pulling fish. They've been getting them pretty well, pretty consistently like that. So the story was, so when I went out and practiced, just put it together and tried it out, and that's where the bigger fish seemed to be come from. And I think it was more luck than anything, because there was only one drain that was pulling or holding big fish where I was pulling them out of, and the rest of the drains did have fish in them, but one drain in particular had some good fish. And I kept cycling through. Yesterday I just had a bit of a milk run where I'd run all the drains within, from here to Lismore and from here down to Brushgrove. Nowhere really any.
To Brushgrove on the Clarence. Here to Broadwater.
Woodburn. Yeah, I'm getting all mixed up here. Sorry.
You've done too many bass tournaments. Okay,
Yeah.
so Woodburn to Lismore, that's a lot of drains.
Yeah, that's right. And so that was all it was. It was just a lot of running and gunning, run around, and give each one of them probably 10-15 minutes. If they weren't producing any more, on to the next one.
So day one, a big top. What was the top water bait you were throwing?
So throwing a frog, anything that I couldn't get in there, I'd throw a kicker curly right up to the back of it. If it needed to be skipped in there, I'd skip that in there.
Yep.
Anything that I thought had been fished before me, and just need that little bit more subtle presentation, I was throwing that 2.75 Suspect in motor oil, and looks a lot like a prawn when you're twitching it along the top of the surface. It's only like you could either hold it up high and wind it, and it'd paddle along on top on surface, or just twitch it along subsurface, and it was getting them bites where frogs weren't.
It's on quite a large worm hook there as well. What's that, a 2.0 or a 3.0 worm hook? That gives it a bit of weight for casting?
Yeah, correct. Yep, and it holds it. Yeah, if you stop whining, it will sink a little bit, which I found was it was just give it that subsurface presentation. 13Fishing
Bass Pro Series, you're throwing a 13 Omen rod there. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, it's just it's a little medium light. I think they're a 610, that model, with it's just got a
6.8.
6.8. Yeah, it's just a good light little rod. Got a great little tip on it for throwing little baits like that. As you can imagine, if you got too stiff a rod, you can't get them in there. And it's got good backbone to it too. Like most of them fish, anything sort of under 40, I was just flipping them in. Yep. Once they got to the boat.
Shimano Vanford spin reel. What sort of braid leader combo were you running this weekend?
Yeah, so that's I believe that's 17 pound. What have they got? It's the new stuff they have in the Eggy braid, and 15 pound Suffix leader.
So you're not mucking around with these fish, even though it might be a brim bait. You're using bass leaders and getting stuck into them. How many fish did you catch on the first day cycling through those drains?
First day probably caught about 10 or 12 fish, I suppose. And like you're saying with that heavier braid, a lot of these fish they were coming over sticks, at least one. Some of them were coming in over 10. Yep. It lock drag. I didn't give them anything. They just, once they bit it, they were coming to the boat. And like I say, most of the time it was just flipping in the boat.
Before this event, the talk was it was going to be tough fishing in the river here, but the Richmond really turned it on. In fact, I think it looks like it fished better than the Clarence.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great place to fish if you ever want to come down and fish this place, it's amazing place. You can sort of do a bit of anything. Later on today, when I was having trouble with the meat in top water, went down the bottom and cranked. There was people cranking, there was people using plastics, jigs, top water, you name it.
Whatever you like, you can use.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
Anyone you want to thank? Because you would be... How are you going in AOY? That's 2 wins now.
Yeah, I think I got 2 wins, a 5th and a 27th.
Oh, we're going to get rid of that 27th.
Yeah. Get rid of that, I'll be sitting better.
It's a very competitive AOY this year. Coney up there, you got Braden up there, you got even guys like Cam Hall. He's got 2 top 5s in these 2 river events. He has a couple of good Queensland events. It's going to be very competitive this year.
Yeah, that's right. And it just goes to show, went out today with a big lead like that, but you can't back off at all, because there'd be someone that they can sneak in there at any time.
Are you a scoreboard looker? Did you have a look at the scoreboard and see that you got overtaken?
I did. I was starting to panic a little bit. It was a bit stressful there. I only had 2 fish, and I started looking at it as I was driving along, and it's like,
I need to catch some more.
Things.
That's awesome, mate. You're sponsored by Rapala and 13Fishing. You're using their products to win tournaments. I think everybody's happy with that. And bring on the Queensland events. We're coming to your home lakes next. What are you expecting from Wivenhoe and Somerset, especially since both of them are during the week we're fishing them?
Yeah, it should be good. Looking forward to Somerset. Wivenhoe, as everyone knows, it can be... but it's got bigger fish in it than Somerset, as they say.
You can pull 10 kilos out of Wivenhoe, no problems.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be good. Either way, looking forward to them.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking forward to Somerset without the jet skiers and the skiers on a Sunday.
Yes. Yeah, that will be better.
Well, there you go. There's our champion of the atomic round of the 13 Fishing Bass Pro Series here on the beautiful Richmond River, Mick Johnson. High fives.